What time is it? Well, it's time that it is. You can see there are so many different times on the wall, which proves time isn't linear. I think that's one of my favorite stupid quantum theories. Time isn't linear. Oh yeah, you want to know how I know time is linear? Everybody who died is still dead. It doesn't just like loop back and then they're magically there again. But as a youthful person, God. All right, let's go ahead and kick this one off with my new joke premise that I love so far. I have finally disproven the great I can identify as whatever I want subject. Okay, here's how I know you can't. Okay, I now identify as a black man. Can I say it now? Guess what my pronoun is? That's right. You're not allowed to guess it, and I'm not allowed to say it. Boom. Pudding's in the proof. Welcome to Adjust Your Shorts. My name's Ray Stone, and this is the news, or at least my version of Google's version of ABC, BBC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, The Guardian, and the good news, and all of the stuff that I think all of that stuff means. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to get up top with the good news, because that's kind of fun. A couple things in the good news this week, with one lip smack already. 81-year-old waitress couldn't retire, so a stranger raised over $300K for her. Nice. First confirmed Alkalosaur footprints found anywhere in the world, identified in Canada. I mean, I'm calling based on what I'm looking at. I don't know if I buy it. I mean, it looks pretty suspect. Okay, fish oil supplements shown to be getting more effective than fish for getting optimal omega-3 intake. I mean, is that an advertisement to don't eat fish? Come on, fuck off. British woman gives birth after receiving transplant womb from sister and pro bono surgery at hospital. That's just gross. If you can't give birth and it requires you to steal someone else's womb, which is totally dystopian, you just weren't supposed to have kids. Since then, tons of people have done it. It's insane. The last story I want to read is We Got Him. Hero Michigan police use heat cam to rescue missing toddler wearing only diapers on a frigid night. The sentence actually reads technically that the police hero were the ones wearing only diapers. But that's neither here nor there. What's that called? A hanging adjective, I think. Or a dangling modifier. That's what it's called. So basically, I read the story. A Michigan family walked out of the room, came back in. Their toddler was gone and the front door was open. And then they found the toddler by the freeway, which is, I mean, that's just suspect. Do you think, what if the parents were like, you found him, and then they get back home and they're like, fuck, it didn't work. They're just trying to get rid of their baby. You get it? All right, moving along. Trump freezes $2 billion in Harvard funding after university rejects demands. My thought on this is, why the fuck are we sending $2 billion of federal money to goddamn Harvard? Harvard is an Ivy League school. It is a private university, and you can't just get in there. So it should not be publicly funded, in my opinion. If you can't afford to go and you didn't get in on a free ride from the school, you don't go to Harvard on the taxpayer's dime. My blood boiled when I read this, but I do want to point out that I love this woman's face right here. Look at her. This is just the ultimate Karen. Oh my God, she just embodies Karen culture. Moving on. CNN, a Palestinian student leader at Columbia was steps away from his final citizenship interview. Instead, he faces deportation. I'm not even going to get into the story because there's a bigger picture here. I have a friend who he and his wife were attempting to get citizenship for his wife. They met in Utila, Honduras. They fell in love. She moved to the United States with him. They got married. They were living together for almost a decade, and it was still very difficult for her to get her citizenship. And she's an educated British person. Of the two, she was the more responsible, I'll go ahead and say. And it was very, very difficult. She had to go through a long waiting list. They had to prove that it wasn't a sham wedding. She had to take like all kinds of tests that like information about history that I guarantee most of the United States young citizens do not know. And it was still virtually impossible for her to get her green card. That being said, why, if you were in the final steps of getting your citizenship, would you do anything at all to jeopardize that, such as talking out against the government? Like, I want to be here, but I'm going to talk shit about the government. That's don't bite the hand that feeds you. You know what? You deserve it. Go on, get on out of here. All right, Fortune magazine. Trump grumbles about China lovely meeting with Vietnam, saying they're discussing how to screw over the United States, trying to screw us over. China had a meeting with Vietnam. They're basically trying to essentially say, we don't want the tariffs. So, of course, it makes sense. What's funny is that I'm seeing on my TikTok feed all these things about how China doesn't need the United States. And yet, because of the tariffs that are going into place, now it's causing China to have to act and try to do things to maintain what they are. So one of the things that I saw was pretty wild. It was a guy saying, I'm going to show you around my house, and I have nothing from the United States. Now look around your house. What do you have from China? And then another one went on to say that China used all the money to basically improve the infrastructure and make their country better. What has the United States done? Well, the owners of the companies bought mega yachts and helicopters and high rises and all this stuff. And where that's very true, and I see their point, what they don't point out is the only way that China improved their infrastructure was because of the US dollars. So everything that's nice about your country that happened as a result of being able to do business with the United States is a direct result of that relationship, thereby saying the relationship is of utmost importance, and they're proving it by going around and trying to make backroom deals with other competitors. When I was a kid, everything was made in Korea, made in Taiwan, made in Vietnam, made in Mexico, or made in the USA. When I was a kid, most of my parents' friends and my parents were against buying things from China because the things that came from China were quote unquote cheap. And over the last couple of decades, 4 decades, China has improved their product quality. And so now everything is made there. But I'll tell you, there was a time when it was like shameful to say made in China on the packaging. So, we'll see what happens. One thing that I did notice in today's news headlines is that that the tariff stuff is no longer the top story. One thing I was thinking over the weekend is how long the tariff stuff has been a top story. And my question is, okay, what are they doing behind the scenes? That is, when the major media outlets want you to focus on a thing for a long time, because what we know is America, we only have attention for a very short amount of time. We are only going to look at something for a couple of days. It's a news blip, and then it's gone. I mean, the Luigi Mangione thing was a week and a half, and then it's just gone. And the only reason he got that much attention is because he's hot. And all the girls want to fuck him. But the story disappears unless it's a story that they want you to look at. And then I go, okay, when they want you to look at something, what do they not want you to look at? And the thing that I think they don't want you to look at is not the vaccine schedule. Oh, no, I think it's gone. Oh, the deep sea. So my question is, the latest thing that I saw, which was controversial on the world scale, is deep sea mining. deep sea mining will most likely, damage the oceans, if not finalize the ruination of them. And 2 days ago, Trump plans to stockpile deep sea metals to counter China. So this is a very controversial thing. Drilling in the ocean is controversial enough for oil, but mining is a totally different beast. When you mine things, you add wild chemicals. Accidentally spilling a bunch of oil in the ocean is one thing. Accidentally spilling megatons of arsenic. There are some nasty chemicals required in mining, and what we're about to see is just how dangerous it is. But you know what? That's families can buy Snap, or can use Snap to buy soda and candy still. RFK was attempting to just in Topeka, a bill barring Kansans who use food benefits from buying soda and candy was failed to move forward last week. So RFK Jr. is, in his promise to clean up our diet and make America healthy again, said he was going to try to stop people from being able to use government benefits to buy bad food, junk food, sugar food, and there is obviously pushback against it. It's like we're just intentionally going to damn ourselves and keep ourselves unhealthy because we just don't want to be healthy. This was crazy. Trump blames Zelensky for starting war after massive Russian attack. This is not the first time he's done it, so this won't come as a surprise. What is wild to me is that he is saying it again. You don't start a war against someone 20 times your size and then hope that people will give you some missiles. To be clear, guys, use your memories. If you think that Vladimir Zelensky started the war, your memory is wrong. Vladimir Putin started the war. He called it something else. He called it a special military operation. And then that special military operation went on for a year and then 2 years, and now we're finally calling it a war. But in no way did Zelensky start the war. The United States was pushing to bolster our UN defense stations too close to Russia. Russia didn't want it. Then Russia said, also, I think Russia just never accepted that the Ukraine was going to be their own country. They were once a part of the USSR. I think Putin just wants it back. I really just think it's as simple as that. But it is wild to me that Trump is saying that Putin or that Zelensky started the war. Like, come on, you can't say shit that's not true as the leader of the United States. It's fucking insane. All right, moving on. After delays, first vaccine advisory meeting under RFK set to start. I think that we should very, very strongly look into vaccines and just make sure that everything that's going into our kids is good. I'm not a scientist. I'm not educated on vaccines, but what I did was I Googled what's the vaccine schedule over history. In 1962, you got 5 doses: polio, smallpox, diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. Okay. Now, what I remember my parents said is we got measles, mumps, rubella, MMR. But in 1983, there were 22 doses. But fast forward to 2024, and there are 79 doses of vaccination that a standard child is, quote unquote, supposed to get. Now, here's another little fact. From 1969 to 1924, the number of autistic children rose from 1 in 10,000 back in 1969 to 1 in 36 today. 1 out of 10,000 becomes 1 out of 36, and we have steadily increased. So my question is, the big question here, because they said they're going to look into vaccines to see if they are culpable in this rise in autism. Here's how you can tell. Find the spike. At what point does the actual spike take place? Investigate over a 3-year period or a 5-year period what new vaccine hit at that time, what new vaccines hit at that time, and then really narrow it down and start focusing on whether or not those particular new vaccines are potentially responsible for causing an increase in autism. And that's it. That's all that I found really that was crazy today. So as always, you can adjust your shorts right on back to their normal level. Consider yourselves kicked in the dick. This has been Adjust Your Shorts. I'm Ray Stone, and we will see you on Thursday. Bye.